Coming up this evening, opposition NDC accuses Institute of Economic Affairs of attempting to manipulate 2024 elections with its intentions to organize a presidential debate. Also ahead, minority in parliament secures clearance to organize another demonstration as part of their continual demand for the resignation of the governor of the Bank of Ghana. And ahead in business, Trades Minister Katie Hammond says government will not withdraw the LI on cement pricing despite constant attacks on his person.
I have charged that committee to ensure that the quality of cement produced in this country is not substandard.
We bring you the details of these stories and much more news here on News Tonight's Tuesday. Across the world, you can watch this bulletin on Facebook and X at GHOne TV. We get started in governance and politics. Now, not all battles are fought in the boxing ring. Some are fought behind the podium with words. Ghana, since the year 2000, has been keen on presidential debates. It is a means to send a message to the electorate beyond the manifesto. However, after a long pause from the battle of words, calls are becoming rife for another debate. The question is, will the strong opponents have a consensus to match each other? Eko Boache reports.
Since being declared flag bearers of Ghana's biggest rival in political parties, John Dramani Mahama and Dr. Mahmudu Bawumia have been taking swipes at each other.
When Vice President Bawumia was saying, our economic management team, we have Professor Jan Bafo, we have Alan Chiramate, we have Honorable Osafo Mafo, we have Ken Oforiata. What a solid team. What a solid team, Elia.
Muduka Monye Fatias, Mubasi, say Yitubadna, Bahakaba, Malam John.
All this in a bid to sell themselves worthy to the voting public as the next president of Ghana.
I promise to lead the change, and I invite you to be part of the change.
But are Ghanaians liking what's on display? An unstructured discourse with no guide, unclear direction, and no means to keep proper scores. Let's go back in time, in the year 2000, where the Institute of Economic Affairs hosted all aspirants of the year's election. The well-attended debates debuted with all aspirants save the then Vice President Professor John Evans Atta Mills, who doubled as the flag bearer of the sitting party, the National Democratic Congress. Professor Mills went on to lose that election and the next, both to the New Patriotic Party's John Agyekum Kufuor. Despite winning the election in 2004, Kufuor had not partaken in the year's debate, throwing a jinx into the myth that could have blamed electoral losses on debate absenteeism. The 2008 presidential debate had no incumbent president on the bill. The aspirants got the opportunity to debate on a somewhat level ground, which preceded Professor Mills's win in that December's poll. The next debate by the Institute of Economic Affairs was held in 2012. With better structures in place, the debate was introduced to moderators who were tasked to ask questions and drive the direction of the event. Interestingly, the two moderators will go on into political careers. Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, a celebrated academic, became the Minister for Education in the next government and subsequently the 2020 and 2024 running mate for the National Democratic Congress. The other moderator, Kojo Oponkroma, who was then a journalist, will go on to become Member of Parliament for Ofuase Ayerebi and Deputy Minister for Information, then Substantive Minister for Information, and subsequently Minister for Works and Housing. The debate saw then incumbent President John Dramani Mahama representing the National Democratic Congress, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo for the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Abu Sakara, then representing the Convention's People's Party, and Dr. Hassan Ayariga, then of the People's National Convention. It was thrilling to have a sitting president join the aspirants for the debate. This worked against the perception that certain presidents use the debate as a conduit to win the elections and then decide not to engage in further debates.
But to look at the symptom rather than the cure, I think for a person who has such legal training, I think it's a bit misread. I can understand that if we're desperate to win political power, we take any instrument and we use it against our political opponents.
If you are committed to the fight of against corruption, you yourself, of course, must not be corrupt.
But we all are involved in maintaining peace and controlling crimes.
First of all, the issue of decentralization is important to decentralize even the corruption.
In the year 2016, the Institute of Economic Affairs held its town hall presidential debate, which only saw 3 presidential aspirants seated: Dr. Papa Kwesi Ndum of the PPP, Jacob Osei-Yeboah, an independent candidate, and Dr. Edward Mahama of the PNC. John Mahama, who was incumbent president, and Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo of the opposition MPP failed to show up.
So everybody needs to make a personal stand on corruption. It is no longer acceptable to stand somewhere and say, I'm not corrupt.
The results of that year's election led to Mahama losing to Akufo-Addo. Since then, the debates have been on hold. Both the NPP and the NDC pointed fingers at each other for not wanting to debate. Now, interestingly, calls are loud from none other than the same man who directed John Mahama to go debate the people.
He's running away from a debate. He doesn't want to debate because he knows I'll expose the emptiness of his policies.
This is statement the NDC flag bearer spokesperson, Joyce Bawa-Mokhtari, deems as not a priority, but should be targeted at Dr. Bawumia, rather fixing the economy. Meanwhile, Deputy National Communications Officer for the National Democratic Congress, Malik Basintale, says John Mahama has been ready for this since 2020 and has been calling to no avail.
President Mahama called for a debate. His party, together with his boss, Akufo-Addo, they wrote a letter telling us they will not engage in a debate. You remember, Sewa? We are fully ready for any debate.
Question is, will the strongest opponents bid to the call and give Ghana a showdown? This is Echo Watch's report for GHOne TV and Star FM.
Well, it appears that the opposition NDC flag bearers campaign team is not enthused with any attempts to organize a debate for presidential candidates ahead of the December polls. The campaign is accusing the Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, of attempting to manipulate the impending 2024 election in favor of the governing New Patriotic Party, NPP. This comes on the back of the IEA indicating that plans are far advanced to conduct presidential and vice presidential debates ahead of the 2024 elections. Spokesperson of the Mahama campaign, Joyce Bawa-Mokhtari, in a statement said it is completely unacceptable that the IEA would make such an announcement without engaging or informing the National Democratic Congress, NDC, one of the major political parties in Ghana. So there you have it. A lot of concern being raised by the NDC with regards to this being organized by the IEA. Now, in this press statement that was released and signed by Joyce Bawa-Mokhtari, it states specifically that it says Mahama 2024 campaign cautions the IEA. Are you a front for the NPP? Now, what it says within the statement is that the Mahama 2024 campaign strongly condemns the recent announcement by the IEA now regarding this presidential debate for the 2024 elections. It's unacceptable that it would make such an announcement without engaging or informing the NDC, one of the major political parties in Ghana. Now, we do understand that the IEA says plans are far advanced with regard to this presidential debate, but how so, really, if a major political party has not been engaged? The press statement further indicates that the Constitution of Ghana does not grant the IEA any authority to organize election-related activities. And the fact that it has not shown any decency, neither respect, to at least inform the NDC of these plans, raise serious questions about its motive. And let's bear in mind that the IEA, since the year 2000, has been organizing these debates across the country, presidential debates ahead of general elections. Now, it further reads, it's clearly acting, that the IEA is clearly acting as a front for the new patriotic party, seeking to manipulate the electoral process in favor of the ruling party. And we'll be engaging the IEA shortly as to this claim being made by the NDC, that the IEA is simply being used as a tool of the MPP. It's important to remind the IEA and the Guinean public that the NDC, led by John Dramani Mahama running mate Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman, has been engaging with the citizenry for many years. This is what the statement says. Mahama's online and offline conversations have targeted a wide range of audiences, focused on addressing the needs of and concerns of the people of Ghana. So this is to say that in the view of the NDC, the party and its flag bearer have been engaging Ghanaians over a long period of time. Now, it says that our well-planned engagements with various sectors and society across the country have been, continue to be, beneficial to the people of Ghana. This being the case, we caution the IEA against using the NDC's name to promote their activities, as this is a blatant attempt to misrepresent our party deliberately. Very strong, harsh, quite frankly, words by the NDC there with regards to the IEA. It assures Ghanaians that the NDC's commitment remains in terms of meaningful and respectful engagement with the people of Ghana. Will continue to ensure that all Ghanaian voices are heard and their needs addressed. In essence, sort of saying there, the NDC, that it's not particularly necessary somewhat for them to have this debate with the IEA, deeming the IEA as being disrespectful in terms of not having first engaged the party before announcing that this presidential debate is going to be had. Strong words there by the National Democratic Congress. Now, we'll be hearing from the IEA with regards to this and what they make of these claims. In other news, after a long wait, members of Parliament finally got an opportunity to question Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jean Mensah, on preparations towards the December elections. The lawmakers took turns to ask the EC chair questions relating to how secure the votes of Ghanaians are in order not to create chaos on election day. Jean Mensah took the opportunity to assure the MPs of the Commission's commitment to ensure free and transparent elections. Let's take a listen to some excerpts from the lawmaking house.
And if we are not careful, and where the country is at this moment, and if this election is not conducted in a credible manner, we may end up losing the 1992 Constitution. The future of this country is in her hands. The future of Ghana is in her hands and the hands of the Commission. Any trigger will erase all of us. And so, Mr. Speaker, since this election is an election with high stakes, there are certain issues that we believe it must be addressed and must be addressed properly.
And I want to emphasize that the nation is at a crossroad in this election. We are hearing that what happened in the last election, when they kept repeating the numbers they have voted for, will happen again. The information we got was that there was a counter system being used and was confusing their own system. Is she sure that what they are doing now will be the best system that they will use, so we don't have other people putting figures into their figures, as we know?
We have only one Ghana, and we don't have anywhere else to go. And that's the reason why we have brought you here to apprise us of what is happening. And it is important that we pay attention to every details that you've given us to ensure that there's peace in Ghana. And I'm happy that you've taken us through this process, and equally happy that members are also aware that they cannot thrive on speculation to burn our country. I would like to start by assuring you that the Commission is poised and ready to deliver free, fair, credible, transparent elections that reflect the will of the people. I can assure you that the Commission will not, and this is a message we are sending to the least person in the field, that our duty is to ensure that the elections are fair, the elections are credible, the elections are transparent, and open for all to see, that at the end of the day, the winner is declared. And I'd like to find out if you are aware of any loopholes in this system, because we know how the system works. We know that the system starts from the ground and it starts at the polling station. The ballots are opened up for everybody to see. We have our party agents who are present. At the end of the day, the counting is done in the full glare of the public. This is recorded, and it is recorded on, the pink sheets. Party agents have, the opportunity in law to request a recount if twice.
You're watching News Tonight. Let's now return to our earlier story regarding the NDC's displeasure with regards to the IEA concerning this presidential debate. Now, the NDC says that the IEA has been ill-mannered, somewhat disrespectful in announcing this presidential debate without engaging the party prior. We've got via phone NDC Deputy Communications Officer GHOne joining us to discuss this issue. Godwin, good evening to you. I believe you are hearing me clearly. Now, these are rather strong-worded comments being made by the NDC to the IEA. Is this to say, in essence, that the flag bearer of the NDC is not going to be participating in this presidential debate? Hello, Godwin. Good evening. Godwin, are you hearing me now?
On. Am I on?
You are on, Godwin, and I'm sure you're hearing me now.
Hello, yeah.
Great. So
Good evening.
Good evening. It's good to have you. Now I'm asking, we've got the strong-worded statements being made by the NDC concerning the presidential debate organized by the IEA. Is this to say, in essence, that the flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama, is not going to be participating in this presidential debate?
Right. Good evening, and let me first of all say that the NDC as a political party and with our flag bearer having decided whether we are going to have a debate or we are not going to have a debate. But the sudden invitation of IEA sparks of some suspicion. Is it an invitation based on the comments from the MPP running mate, or let's say the flag bearer, Mahmoud Bao, they are calling His Excellency John Dramani Mahama for a debate? I'm asking this because we've not had any formal invitation from the IEA. Secondly, the IEA are not clothed with any responsibility of such organization.
Right.
So previously we've partaken in this debate. BBC and other organizations have also placed a request to have a presidential debate. And let's put things right. We may not be engaging in presidential debate from all those requests. So definitely there will be one that we will partake in, but we haven't stated which one that we are going to partake in. Definitely there will be a presidential debate.
Godwin, so just to clarify, you're saying that the NDC has not, you've not decided, you're undecided pretty much as to whether you're going to accept to participate in any of these presidential debate requests being put forward to you as a party. Now, you did mention, but I'd want to expand on this. Previously, the NDC has taken part in these debates being organized by the very same IEA. And now you say that the Constitution of Ghana does not grant the IEA any authority to organize these debates, but previously you've taken advantage of the platform. What has changed now?
Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. But you see, organizations evolve. And sometimes you can see the genuineness of an organization to, lift the standards. But sometimes to their other responsibilities and their, comments would also make you take a second look at their activities. We have nothing against IEA. Let me be blunt on that. We have nothing against them. But we have other requests from other organizations, state organizations, including NCC, you understand. So we may not be having all this presidential debates. Definitely, we are going to engage in one of it. So we cannot jump into conclusion that NDC will not have a presidential debate, and we cannot also conclude that we are going to have one. But definitely, we would consider all the requests that are coming.
Now, GHOne, how much of a role does the issues, somewhat, that the NDC has had with the now EC chair, GHOne Mensah? Now, she's previously led the IEA. Is there some discomfort with her close association with the IEA that makes it not the preferred platform of the NDC?
I have not mentioned GHOne Mensah's name in our conversation, and I don't intend to. However, there are principles surrounding everything. GHOne Mensah, when she was the executive secretary of the IEA, made some comments, especially against Charlotte Osei, a position that she holds today.
All right.
So for me, where do we fit those principles and those statements? So it's not about her or about IEA. As I said earlier, we have other requests that as a political party, we will take this thing on. And if they would also come together and form one body and also do it, because how will I respond to IEA's, request, and then refuse that of NCCE? It must be justified. So let's not make this an issue with IEA. Let's use this opportunity to build some of our state, state agencies to carry some of these things on. We don't have a problem with IEA or any group, but everybody is exploiting the opportunities available. But at least we can use this opportunity to standardize things.
Very well. Now, GHOne, just in rounding up briefly, of course, we know that the IEA has said plans are far advanced with regards to this presidential debate. Just to put it simply, is that to say that the NDC is not going to be taking part in this debate by the IEA?
When somebody says that plans are far advanced, doesn't mean that you don't care about the sentiments of the people that you want to engage.
Right.
Are you railroading them onto your platform? If plans are far advanced, one of the first things is to approach the stakeholders involved.
Certainly.
But if you tell me things are far advanced, you've not even approached the NDC, and you are saying things are far advanced, isn't that even, doesn't that spark of suspicion that maybe you've spoken to one side and not the other? If plans are far advanced, they can go ahead.
They can go ahead, and the NDC would not take part. Thank you for your time this evening. GHOne GHOne, NDC Deputy Communications Officer, joining us there. You're watching News Tonight. In some other stories this evening, the British High Commissioner to Ghana, Harriet Thompson, is urging Ghanaian voters to interrogate issues properly before deciding on who to vote for in the 2024 elections slated for December. Speaking exclusively to GHOne TV in a yet-to-be-aired interview with Sewa Amehia, the diplomat said voters must look at how all the promises made by the contestants will be implemented so as to make informed choices on the election day.
will be a hotly contested election if everything I've seen up to date continues through the next period. But it's been a hotly contested election in the UK as well. And what we've seen in the UK is that just because it's hotly contested doesn't mean it won't be a good process. And that's what's really important, for people to have the opportunity to really debate the issues, to really interrogate the promises that the incoming, the hopeful candidates make, to think about how they're going to deliver on those promises and to really challenge that, and for that to be done in an open, transparent and a peaceful way. That's what democracy is all about.
Now, remember that the full interview will be aired at 7:30 p.m. on Saturday, July 20, 2024, right here on GHOne TV. You're watching News Tonight. We bring you more news shortly. You're welcome back to News Tonight here on GHOne TV. The Ghana Police Service has called on the minority to ensure that their upcoming protest does not disrupt the peace and security of the country. This follows a meeting between the minority representatives and the police service to discuss the necessary arrangements for the protest. In a letter dated July 17, 2024, the Ghana Police Service confirmed the date for the protest as July 30, 2024. It was recalled that on Tuesday, October 3, 2023, the minority in Parliament, along with some NDC executives and sympathizers, protested against the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, demanding his resignation. However, the minority were dissatisfied as they could not present their petition directly to the governor. Mahama Ayariga is the Member of Parliament for Boko Central, and he joins us for a conversation on this via phone as to why exactly it's necessary to have this second demonstration. Good evening to you, Ms. Ayariga. Thank you for joining us here on News Tonight. Why is this second demonstration necessary, and what happens if your demands to have the governor and his deputies resign does not yield any results?
Thank you very much, and good evening to your viewers and listeners. The facts are that the governor and the board sent a request to PPA to construct a new office building of a gross area of 73,000 square meters at $100,800,000. This is their proposal to PPA. PPA said they should do the construction at $81,800,000. Today, they are doing the construction at over $250 million. This is what the governor of the Bank of Ghana and his deputies are doing with public money. And this is what we are protesting against. The fact that they are so wasteful at a time when all of us are being asked to pay more taxes, are being asked to pay more for food, are being asked to pay more for electricity, are being asked to pay more tariffs. When many Ghanaians cannot even afford 3 square meals a day, when we have an infrastructure deficit in our educational sector, our students cannot afford to pay rent in the universities. This is the time that this governor, his deputies, and his board decide to use $250 million. That is over 380 billion cedis for the construction of office space. And it's not even as if they don't have office space. They have enough office space. They have City House. They have the current head office that they are occupying. They have regional offices. And they have even justified their staff size, which merits that they should spend such colossal sums of money to construct office.
So, Mr. Ayariga, in essence, you're saying that the BOG, its governor and deputies are being wasteful, simply put. Now, in this case, if your demands are not wasteful and corrupt,
because we've asked them to justify the expenditure and they are unable to justify the expenditure. We've written to the Office of Special Prosecutor because we think there was corruption in the procurement. He has failed to investigate the matter and then bring it to some fruition. So
if your demands for them to resign are not responded to, they're not met, what's going to be next for you?
We will continue to protest until he resigns.
Thank you for joining us this evening on that issue. Mahama Ayariga, Member of Parliament for Bokul Central, joining us there. In some other news this evening, across Africa, exceptional individuals dedicate themselves to improving lives and building a brighter future, from doctors fighting for better healthcare to educators breaking down barriers to knowledge and peace builders fostering dialogue and unity. These individuals are our everyday heroes. AOG Info Media, a trailblazing community magazine in Lagos, Nigeria, proudly presents the African Humanitarian Award 2025.
The African Humanitarian Award 2025 will hold its first edition in Lagos, Nigeria, with plans to rotate the event across different African countries annually. This prestigious event recognizes exceptional individuals who dedicate themselves to philanthropic endeavors and humanitarian services across Africa.
We realize that so many awards are everywhere. There's BET, there's Headies, there's so many award platforms everywhere. But are there actually platforms for NGO owners? Is anyone recognizing them? Is anyone celebrating them? Is anyone appreciating them? We appreciate the people in the film industry, in the music industry. How about these guys? Who is telling them, thank you for what you are doing? Please help us do more. Who is doing this for us? No one. So that's why we find, okay, let us just have a platform for everybody to leverage. So
the two-day event will feature distinct categories, highlighting the diverse ways Africans are creating positive change.
The essence of the award is to shine a light on those who go above and beyond, making a tangible impact on their communities and beyond.
Nominations are expected from all who believe in the exceptional contribution of an individual in any field of endeavor to be celebrated. Unlike general practice, there will be no voting to select winners. A distinguished panel will carefully select the nominees, ensuring the most impactful initiatives are well recognized.
The African Humanitarian Award will shine a light on the diverse ways Africans are creating positive change in their domain, thereby igniting a spirit of generosity and amplifying the impact of humanitarian initiatives throughout the continent.
About 13 categories of awards, including education, women empowerment, youth, social development, and environmental sustainability. The award ceremony will take place in January 2025. The first day will be dedicated to humanitarian services, where individuals and organizations will come together to offer free services and support those in need.
Next on News Tonight, we've got business news.
The business segment is brought to you by Bills Microcredit Limited.
In business tonight, the Minister for Trades and Industry, Kobina Tahir Hammond, Katie Hammond, has described attacks on him over plans to regulate cement price reporting as unnecessary. The controversial LI seeking to regulate cement pricing has come under stiff opposition by industry players. The manufacturers say the LI for cement price is unconstitutional, adding that the government cannot implement the controversial LI when passed. Addressing stakeholders here in Accra, the minister said the government will not withdraw the legislative instrument.
No one is asking that nobody should make profit. My argument has always been a sensible amount of profit. I see that that is not what is happening in this country. Because I cannot understand that every blessed day we hear this announcement of increase in the prices of cement. It's for that reason that we took it up. To regulate, to try to get the balance right. There was all this cry that I hadn't consulted. Why would I not consult? The very people who are complaining that I haven't consulted with them, they constitute the committee that was to do the consultation. How could they not be consulted? And then finally, the manufacturers, and there was an announcement all over that they had boycotted some meeting with me, they were upset, or what is that? Completely untrue. I'd called them to my office to get a discussion ongoing about what I intend to do, what I'd charged them to do previously, which they were not doing, to revisit it. And asked them many months ago, I think from January This LI that I've shown you, the 2480, was promulgated in about November last year. I think I inaugurated a committee in about January or in March. Now, since March, I've entreated them to do what is now culminated in this new LI. Publish your prices. Let there be transparency. Let us all understand how is it that you arrive at these ridiculous prices.
Trades Minister speaking there. Now let's stay on this a while longer and get some responses and reactions from the Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber of Construction Industry, Emmanuel Cherry. Good evening to you. Emmanuel, thank you for joining us here on News Tonight. Now, you met the sector minister earlier today. Are you satisfied with the position currently?
Okay, thank you very much. And let me first of all salute you and thank you very much for the good work you're doing for the development of Ghana. Yeah, the issue before us is about the late regulation that the minister has presented to Parliament. That is the quickly. Right. I'll have 11 days more. As a matter of either it will come out or it will be withdrawn, is also another subject for discussion. However, we must commend the minister for time today out of his busy schedule because we were told the cabinet is in the retreat, but he has sought permission from the president, and the president has given that leave for him to join us today. We must thank him so much for that time, the clarity that he came to show on the issues before us. However, the position that he has heavily articulated is not all that clear to us per se. So therefore, we'll also be doing our other consultations after we've heard from the manufacturers, the dealers, as well as the Ministry of Trade and Industry and Ghana Standard Authority at the other side. Now, we'll be going back to the drawing board, come out with the two positions, put them vis-a-vis on the table, analyze them, and come out with our position as an industry player. However, I believe that today the minister did well by throwing more light to the issue that which have been done far long ago.
Insight there on that issue. Emmanuel Cherry, that's CEO of the Chamber of Construction Industry, joining us on that development. In some more business news this evening, the Network for Women's Rights in Ghana, NetRight, is advocating for gender transformative social policies to address the economic hardships affecting businesses, especially those owned by women. According to NetRight Ghana, the austerity measures and conditionalities associated with debt restructuring, such as increased taxes, disproportionately impact businesses struggling to survive under these harsh policies.
NetRight Ghana, with support from the Open Society Africa, is implementing a 2-year advocacy intervention titled Empowering Women for Change, advocating for gender transformative social policies through feminist mobilizing in Ghana. The project aims to mobilize and empower broad constituencies of women across the country, enabling them to drive systematic change by demanding gender transformative social policy making. At a roundtable discussion on the impact of Ghana's current debt restructuring on women in the private sector, Professor Ekosia Dakwa, the convener of NetRight Ghana, highlighted that location and accessibility of information are major challenges faced by SMEs. She emphasized that these issues are very worrying and difficult to address.
One of the cases I was most struck by was one of the participants referring to those in northern Ghana as coming from southern Burkina Faso. And what she meant by that was that information that's readily available in Accra to small businesses is much harder to know and also to be able to access in the northern part of the country. And I think that's a second level of worry, right? So the first is obviously we all know that we have a crisis, but it's that there is a geographical difference in how you experience that challenge, but also in how you are able to access the resources that are available to address the challenge.
The president of the Widows and Orphans Movement, Fati Abigail Abdullahi, urged the government to reconsider tax exemptions for multinationals and extend these benefits to SMEs, which have a ripple effect and promote sustainability.
When we end up pushing money at startup level just for 2 years, just for 1 year, then it means that we're actually just putting the money in the drain, because the likelihood of those businesses surviving is not going to be high. And so we need to start thinking as a country, do we want to look at impact, or we just want rich numbers to be able to make political statements? Because if we really want sustainability, then we need to look at the businesses that have the ripple effect and put that money there, and then we are assured that these are more sustainable and support them in the long run.
The Executive Secretary of the Informal Economy Workers Forum Ghana, Deborah Freeman, called on the government to provide incentives to support businesses in the informal sector.
I've been talking about formalization of the informal sector for how many years now? 2014, 2015, when the ILO adopted the recommendation 204. Nothing is happening because there is no incentive. Informal economy workers don't have the incentives to be able to formalize, because in this country, once you formalize, you give yourself in that you should be paying higher taxes, even sometimes paying more than what you earn. It's not healthy.
The roundtable aims to engage women in the private sector by providing a platform to highlight their strategic challenges, share experiences, and develop collective strategies to advocate for policies that are inclusive and gender transformative.
That's all the business news we've got for you this evening. Sports news is next on News Tonight Tuesday.
And you're welcome on to sports, where the media attaché for Ghana's Olympic team, Benjamin Willie Graham, has called on Ghanaians to support Ghanaian high jumper Rose Amwanima Yeboah as she reps Ghana at the Paris Olympic Games to be held in France. And for the first time in the history of Ghana at the Olympics, Rose Amwanima Yeboah secured a slot in high jump during the NCAA Outdoor Championship in USA, will be the first woman to represent Ghana in women's high jump in France. Now, the youngster, 22 years old, is currently in camp with a team in Strasbourg and gelling well with the rest of Team Ghana in France.
About, and I'm particularly excited about, is that if you checked our Olympic history, for the very first time in the history of Ghana, we are the first time we're having a woman competing in the high jump at the Olympic Games. And for me, that is the story I have carried along all this while. And I think that Rosie Yeboah needs the support and qualification. I mean, the prayers of every Ghanaian to go out there on the big stage and perform. So that is where my focus is. That I mean, we talk about affirmative action basically, but if Rose is going to do that for Ghana at the big stage at the Olympics for the very first time in the history of the country, why shouldn't we support her?
Absolutely.
I will be honest with you, she's one of the most, I don't want to use comic figure, but she's one of the most hilarious figure in camp. Every time you are with Rose, she says something and you have to burst into laughter. And I tell you what, it makes that she's even more calmer than what we think she has to be. There's no pressure on her. And I like one thing that Paul Amwa told her on one of our meetings. He said, Rose, don't put pressure on yourself. Don't go set yourself some target that would definitely put a lot of undue pressure on yourself. Just do who you are. Just be yourself. Go out there, just as you've been doing. Just do what you have to do and just be happy and go out there and enjoy the competition. And I felt that was the captain's advice because of his experience at the Olympics. And so for me, I think she's very calm. She's very jovial. She's always coming out with some jokes. And all of us always love to be around her.
Now, from the pre-camping base of the the Ghana team in France to beach soccer, now president of Ghana Beach Soccer Association, Yao Ampofo Ankara, has indicated that Ghana's beach soccer team are upbeat about the AFCON qualifying game with neighbors Ivory Coast, notwithstanding the good track record of the Ivorians against the Ghanaians. He was speaking on the sports chat on Star FM ahead of the Black Sharks' crucial beach soccer qualifier for the AFCON against the Ivorians this Sunday at the Keta Beach.
What's going to happen is that eventually, we will qualify for the AFCON. We're hoping it's this time around, and we have no choice but to be optimistic and confident. We can't say that Ivory Coast is higher ranked. Ivory Coast has more experience. We've never beaten them before. Yes, they're favorites. They went to Morocco for camping. They flew in on Wednesday. They're very organized. The setup is there. There's the support by the FA. But we still have to say, look, let's go all out and try and beat Ivory Coast to qualify. We don't have a choice.
Right.
It's kill or be killed.
Yeah.
And that's it for sports. Up next is A-Zone.
On GHOne tonight, who controls the definition of art? Its unconventionality makes art hard to define. As if that's not enough, the use of unconventional materials to make art leaves patrons thrilled in appreciating the discipline. In the following report, Hassan Awudu finds out how an artist combines climate change awareness with aesthetics by using discarded second-hand clothing in making art.
Art is an expression of ideas and feelings, or the application of human creative skills and imagination, typically in visual forms like paintings, sculptures, and even clothes. But it gets even more intriguing when things out of the ordinary are used in making them, producing works to be appreciated primarily for their beauty or emotional power. Emmanuel Agretieku is a self-taught Ghanaian abstract artist who makes valuable art pieces out of discarded second-hand clothing and textile waste. Tieku collects from spaces like Kantamanto Second-Hand Clothes Market and the Pong landfill site. His works upcycles fabric, merged with acrylic and oil, weaving a narrative that challenges societal norms and embraces interdisciplinary exploration. Tieku's journey into art began during his civil engineering studies, where he explored the reuse of discarded fabric and textile waste, essentially reflecting themes of consumer culture and sustainability. He believes waste cycle does not end with disposal.
Working with unconventional materials, you're thinking about a society where everything is conventional, everything is structured, right? But unconventional materials come in the sense that you break what is already layered and structured in society. They're going to have the COP29 conference very soon, and all they're talking about is battling climate change and the effects on the entire world, especially on Africans. But then you have Obroniwewu being shipped to Ghana. We receive about 15 million garments every week. People purchase about 30 to 40%. The remainder or the remaining is waste. That presented both a challenge and a solution. I felt I could pick a material that is totally discarded and give it a new life.
Tieku admits art and artists are gradually being appreciated in Ghana, but believes more can be done, especially as the year of return has become profitable to Ghana.
From the government standpoint, talking about public spaces made available for artists to maybe express themselves, exhibit, you don't have those structures in place. So you have the private sector and individual artists setting the pace. You have the year of return being introduced by the government. You find out there is this huge space made available for other genres of art like music. But what you don't see is a single event dedicated to the showcase of art, in promoting art, promoting textile, something that clearly represents the soul of the people, the culture of the people. I feel like more could be done. There are so many creatives like me who are daring to move textile away from a functioning material into a work of art, which is more valuable and also presents the culture of a people to the world. In a way, you are promoting your culture and also selling your craft.
The use of unconventional materials such as waste materials does not only demonstrate creativity and resourcefulness, but also raises awareness about the importance of sustainability and environmental conservation. This serves as a reminder of the limitless possibilities for creativity and ingenuity in arts, and highlights the importance of thinking outside the box when it comes to creating meaningful and impactful works of art. For GHOne News, Al-Hassan Audu.
Beautiful initiative there. And that's how we wrap up with news tonight this evening. Thank you so much for making the time. As always, do visit our website, starfm.com.gh, for lots more news. The bulletin was produced by Musa Lanza. I'm Natalie. Have a great evening.